Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Approved Show, where we review and vote for the best VFX in movies.
My vote goes to, I voted for...
My vote?
My vote goes to...
And some unexpected things went down.
You didn't work on any of these, right? Sir, oh, you might have worked on
Too
it.
much question. But first, let's meet our guests.
Hey, this is your favorite German compositor, Sebastian Schütt. I am Behzad Mansourdar, and I'm the biggest fan of Split the Diff. All right.
Hi there, I'm Matt Kiefer, a lighting supervisor. Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, I'm Gabriel Pierce and I'm really happy to be here.
I'm Ehtemami, and welcome to the first episode of the Approved Show. Thanks for joining today. Yeah, also I have a very special list of movies for you. For the first episode, it's very special. We are reviewing some Iranian movies, like they produce in Iran. And also at the same time, they're all VFX winners. Like they awarded for the best VFX in the Fash Film Festival, which is a local film festival in Iran. So
That's
these
awesome.
are like you're choosing the best of the best.
How old are the movies? Are they
Oh
like
yeah,
recent?
they're from different years. Like they awarded in different years. You
okay.
see,
Yeah,
yeah, see
2019
years
to
here.
2022.
Mine here.
2022, 2020,
where's mine?
2019,
Okay.
2021.
Yeah,
Both
so
fairly
also
recent.
that's yeah, but let's see.
But
Let's
it's,
see how it
it's
goes.
fairly close, sad, like 4 years, right? Spread of years. Like it's still like the VFX is still like not that far from like if you took like films from like 10 years apart, then the
Yeah.
VFX becomes really complicated.
Yeah.
Does anybody actually look at the scores on IMDb though? Like, I watch
Not
Rotten
that much
Tomato
anymore.
scores.
No,
man.
no, yeah, not even Rotten Tomato. I don't really care much about the scores.
Yeah.
No, it's too hit or miss because like the chances that you'll miss a movie just based on a weird review seems too great for me. I'd rather just go by my gut.
Yeah.
The orders are just random, just random orders. So we firstly look at the squad of girls.
Okay. Nice.
And these are all feature films. It has 803 shots.
Okay.
What's a day for night?
Is that a color grading after?
Oh yeah, that was too much push.
Wow, that's a lot of.
No collision to the to the smokes. Yeah, just 2D smokes. I didn't get that shot.
Love showing all the AOVs.
Yeah. I totally confused with that shot. Those are practical birds.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it's
My
Maya.
UI.
Yeah. No, the Maya UI is so.
Edges.
Yeah.
but they removed the interior spill. That's good.
The interior.
The spill on the
Yeah.
on the ceiling. Yeah.
I think when they lean more on the kind of documentary kind of visual, it looks.
Yeah, just
Nice.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
it
don't filter yourself.
I wish
Get those markers.
I wish the film had better, like the visual effects like fit in really well, but you look at sort of the color grading of
Yeah.
the film and the like the tones of it. It's like, oh, I wish the film looked better. Like from a, like you look at that shot, it's like, oh, okay, it's great that they did all this stuff and they comped it really well, but I look at it from a film point of view and I'm like looking at like color timing and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I wish they would have pushed it because it's so, like it lacks so much contrast. Like you look at it from an imagery point of view, it's like, oh, it's not the compositing which is the problem. It's just everything looks like it's like raw footage without pushed, like all the shadows
Also,
feel.
that's something. However, they submitted this version for the awards, but maybe the visual effects studio doesn't have the latest grading on the shots. Yeah.
That's
maybe.
what's okay. It would be interesting to like watch the finished film and see what it looks like. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, what? Like there's no blacks. Like everything is like gray. You know, it's like everything is just crunched. And I'm like, this is strange. If it's not the choice that they made, that's the only thing that's like.
Yeah,
bumps for
maybe
me.
just untouch Alexa a lot on the shots. Just
Yeah.
basic contrast.
Yeah, but sometimes they show the shots that are more touched. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think that necessarily helped. Like some of the shots they were like too saturated, and some of the not sure if that's the final color grading as well.
Like some of those interiors we saw, the woods looked very rich. There's a lot of very strong color in the highlights. The cinematography is great. I love their shot choices.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful shot. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the only part that's like confusing me about it. Like some of the none of the colors really pop, and it's fine to be desaturated, but it's just sort of missing. Like makes me think of what was that one, the war one that Nolan did, the beach.
Oh, Dunkirk?
Yeah, when you see the blacks, like you like really like get a sense of like the. But you're right. This might just be the raw footage.
Wow, all that plate assembly for nothing.
Just blurred it.
Put a
And
lot
we
of
get
atmosphere in there.
bright shadows from the explosion. That was like God rays
Yeah.
from
I have a question. Something that doesn't quite make sense to me when I'm watching that. It's like, why would you choose to do a room in CG and not do anything special about that room? That was the weird thing for me, where you like look at it and it's like, there's a couch and a picture. And I was like, is it cheaper to do CG? Like, I'm like, I could have just gone and grabbed you a couch and then you would actually have the set and the space.
I guess that room wasn't, or that house wasn't made for that, right? Wasn't that? I thought at some point was
Yeah,
that
the
a mirror
hallway
or was
wasn't
it?
that long in the shot. Like the place was much smaller, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or maybe they
but-
decided later.
Yeah. Or I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just go scout a location? because I feel like it's cheaper to get a location than do all those shots and visual effects. Like that's the part where I feel like it's amazing they can do all of it, and I'm like, why? Like, why didn't you just plan for it? Like,
However, the sad part of it, maybe sometimes visual effect is cheaper than finding like an expensive, good place.
Yeah, because like I think I don't know, but like it seemed like they wanted like to make it seem like the location, like the people there, like were richer, maybe, you know, like because like the chandelier, like the couch, everything seems like to be like a nicer, you know, like
yeah.
It was a
quality.
specific style, like
Yeah.
from a specific era or a specific region they were going for. Like we saw that the first thing we saw was that street that they had changed, and I was thinking, well, can you not find any street and just add some posters and some signage and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that movie is actually happens like 30 years ago. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's why.
Kept rolling back the clock.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
The railing and stuff made sense because people would recognize the railing, so they're just changing it to like some of that I could understand. But then there's also times that I'm like, and I get it, it's the visual effects. It's like you see it and then you add stuff because you realize you can pump it up. But then I'm talking something like if you would have planned for that, like garbage on the ground, like you didn't need CG garbage, like you could have.
I kind of thought that, like, we're already doing the bridge. Let's just add some garbage. Let's just go grab some stuff and dress it up some more. So.
I imagine that was probably like an after, you know, like they were
like
looking at the
just
shot and they're like,
more and more,
like we can add some garbage and that's gonna add to the visual, you know, chaos, confusion, like how the sense of urgency of those people crossing that bridge or something.
Yeah.
Sebastian, your camper eyes want to say something. It stops you from
I only
saying
saw the hair edges, but no, but I mean, with the risk of like taking away what you wanted to say, what you already mentioned, like when I saw the first shot, I was like wondering if something was wrong or off with the lighting, or because I was concentrating on it. But then I realized looking at the whole shot, okay, the whole shot just looks a little bit unbalanced, like you mentioned, right? So that was, I think, the big confusion for me as well on that.
Yeah, I believe because we are not watching at the final grading.
Yeah.
So it's very low contrast. Some shots are contrasty. Maybe they shot it on different lots,
Yeah. We also saw like a lot of stuff out of context, so it was very difficult to know where your eye was supposed to be going. I mean, when looking at an uncontrasty image, like those broader shots of the explosions, hard to know what to look at, but maybe it would have been easier if we had seen the whole sequence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like that first shot of the street, you're saying something looked off. Actually, it's interesting because to me, out of the VFX reel, that's my opinion, one of the weakest shots of the reel. And that's kind of like the opening shot of the reel as well. Because that street to me was like the least well integrated final show of the VFX they had on this reel. And that was the opening.
Yeah, that's a very common problem, unfortunately, because there's no like experienced editor or editorial department or like art direction on the reels mostly. They just push to pack it as a reel and send it to the awards. So yeah, there are like repeated shots and like chroma key shots, and some of them have problems.
Yeah.
So you can maybe not using some of those shots. It's safer. But yeah, they start maybe with based on the names, maybe like the shot 001, and they start from the first shot to the end. Yeah, they're not like shuffling properly. But,
And they probably need a set time to say, like the reel needed to be I don't know, like a minute and a half to go onto the award, and couldn't be shorter or longer. And then
the
they had
deadlines, because the movies are like just touching the deadline to submit it to the awards. So that's a problem with the Flash Festival, because also the rule is you shouldn't release your movie before sending to the awards. Yeah, let's now talk about what you like or what you didn't like from this reel, starting from Bez.
I think for me, what we were talking about is just a matter of I would really love to see like the final color grade of it, because the visual effects looked really good, but it was just so low contrast. Everything was just, I think it was actually helping the comp because everything's so low contrast. It was just everything's blending to each other, and I'm like, okay, like, and that was the only thing. But I think the shots, like, I think everything just looked good. Like for me, like I was like, yeah, it gets the job done for the level of your film, and it wasn't anything like, oh, that looks like bad and it's taking me out of the experience. So I'm like, yeah, that all looks good. So that was good.
I think I liked that they used it a lot for like supporting, the storytelling. I guess like everything that went beyond that was maybe sometimes a bit more difficult, but like all the details, like you said, like also like the things that they added on the bridge. I think that probably helped a lot. And it's good that they were open to that and not just thinking about like, hey, let's use visual effects to like, blow away or something like that, but to really help tell the story. I think that's what I liked. A lot of detail.
Anything about the comp?
It's like hard to judge with that grade, I guess, because it makes it look a little bit less interesting. And then, like I said, okay, the edges that I saw with the hair, but it was like one shot really. Other than that,
Good.
Can't recall any.
Yeah, you good?
I think I'm gonna borrow a little bit from what Sab was saying because the supporting like idea of like the VFX helping the story. Because I was saying, I don't know if the movie, because I haven't seen the movie, I just saw a reel. It seems to lean into like some sort of documentary at some points, kind of like a style more chaotic, handheld camera. Probably the cinematography is really cool, and the visual effects supporting that bit, or like they're trying to tell the story and they're adding into like the making a time period different, or adding to the background to like sell a different location. That was really, really nice, and I think that really helps the show. What I'm gonna say probably is wrong, but like I like that it doesn't try to be too ambitious with the visual effects. The visual effects is there, but it's not the center focus of the movie. And to me, that really helps what they're doing. Yeah, there's a few shots where like from the reel that, maybe they were not the best shots and they're in the reel, but maybe they are the best shots that they had at the time to put in the reel. But like I'd say overall, like it's really, really nice to see like the VFX from that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like they clearly had a very specific vision they were going for. You said it was tied to a certain period in time. So they had a style they were going for. They had certain things they wanted to show. I think their cinematography was fantastic in a lot of cases. Really good shot choices. Very interesting things to look at. Yeah, the lack of contrast that some of you guys mentioned was a little bit difficult because not knowing what's the most important thing in the scene, what's going to catch your eye, what's showing you the action that is important to that scene. Sort of detracted from the shots a little bit. But yeah, like you were saying, that the documentary feeling when we're seeing a lot of the wide stuff, low, shaky, a shaky cam kind of low to the ground, handheld look, it did impart a sense of uncertainty and fear.
Yeah.
And actually having all the, everything blocked out in the midground with volumetrics that just completely socks everything in, I feel like they could have been sculpted better. They probably could have been integrated a bit better, but they did do a good job of making the viewer feel uncertain as to what was coming, which I believe that was the intent in some of those. So in that sense, it was very successful.
Okay, cool. Yep. So Exodus, a newer movie.
Khuruj.
Ooh.
That's a lot of,
expect that. Bright green screen for a night shot. That's magic. How they did it.
That's a good train. I love how all these VFX reels have like the most intense music. We could just go in a battle, like. Just for integration, it needs something as simple as just a fan blowing at these guys.
Yeah, that helps on that one.
This one's got something at the front, but
maybe the old guy's a famous actor and he's like, get that fan out of my face.
Yeah, like he's in a truck and it's like his shirt, like nothing's really moving. Like,
I have a problem with the exposure there. So
it's very horrendous. Oof, that tire needs like motion blur. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, poor truck.
Is this just like one scene from the movie, or is this what the whole movie's about? Like these people just driving?
No, it's not all about that guy driving, but maybe that's a very important scene in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't watch the film, by the way. Oh, that's oil or something. Oil.
Yes.
I think it's just it's fuel.
Yeah, it should be fuel, I believe, because Just water.
It just looks like water.
Oh, look at
Really,
the.
very repetitive pattern.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh.
Reminds me that scene in Interstellar with the farm.
Cornfields.
Yeah, the fuel is now burning somewhere. Or not burning somewhere. Oh yeah.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Maybe it was water. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that was.
It was supposed to be water, yeah?
Sweet petrol.
Some water in his plants with
Yeah,
petrol.
'cause I thought it was gonna be fuel to make it dangerous, but yeah, I guess not.
This is very intense music for a gardening scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how all of us have no idea about the movie.
Yeah.
Is he protecting his field from an oil pipeline fire? Is that what that is?
I don't know.
That should be another part of this video where we just try to figure out what this story is about.
It's interesting. Like this section of the VFX like looks better than the initial portion of the driving.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's also the order again, right? Why
Yeah, like
choose
they
it that
should
way.
reorder stuff.
Yeah, a whole field of vegetation and CIA.
Yeah, that's really the.
And the cinematography
Local
looks
cinema.
nicer on the second half as well.
Yeah.
Really does simulation.
Yeah, he had more like wind just standing than he did when he was driving his truck, which
That's
is
a good
like,
shot.
Yeah.
That's a well-staged CG shot, too.
yeah.
It feels actually pretty natural.
Yeah. Oh, oil tank. That should be oil.
I might kick that back for a roughness map update.
Oh, the bridge was practical.
Oof.
Again, water. Oh. That's nice.
I don't know if it's the monitor here, but the red light on the train looked not red. It was like very pink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, also the practical dust was cropped at the end. The name of the police station is Bitter Water.
That's what I was like, is this a joke? Like
Yeah,
I was reading it.
That water was a key point in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Oh, that was good.
tree shrunk.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like,
Those birds were supercharged. They were so fast. The last shot was also good.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
impact,
quick one,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, a lot of like
VFX
integration
supervisor
of the
Ali.
shadows.
Just put that in the middle, and then just some other stuff, yeah, not at the very end.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. A lot of people. Cool. Okay, so let's just start from here, Matt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like Gabe was saying, I actually thought that was a very ambitious project. They had like a pretty wide range of things they were doing, stuff that was incredibly close up and very far away. Like they had stuff that was like happening in and around and behind all those characters. It was very interesting. I noticed in the credits there at the end, they had a credit for interactive lighting and rendering, which was something that stuck out to me. They actually put a lot of attention into making sure they had, the dust that was kicked up from vehicles was caught in vehicle headlights and tail lights. Things seemed to respect a lot of shadows. Everything in the foreground, actually most of the stuff in general, felt very well integrated. They gave a lot of attention to like how the light played on things. Those fields of cotton, those look pretty good actually.
Yeah. Cool. You, Gabe?
So I was saying, like, I feel like this is different from the other show. We saw the demo reel first. Like, the show leaned a lot more on the VFX to tell the story, especially with the opening sequence. At least that's what it seems from the reel, right? The driving sequence with the tractor at night. And to me, again, like, that was the wrong way about to open probably the reel, because those shots, they were well done as much as they could, but it's a sort of like doomed experience when you try to shoot something that doesn't visually look like what the final product is going to look like. A very bright, green screen with like a lot of different lights, and you're trying to do a lot. It's very hard to pull off in a way that looks natural. But saying that, a lot of the other work on the cotton field looks like really nice. There's a lot of like the helicopter shot landing was like super nice shot. Like there's some interesting stuff. Some of the water simulation was a little bit ambitious as well and didn't look as great.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pull off. But overall, like as a VFX show, like it helps the story probably, but I think they lean too much on the VFX to tell the story. They could have maybe, with the budget they had, shot in a way that was easier for them.
Yeah, I see. You said something.
I like
more about the compositing.
I liked the day sequences. I guess I had a problem with the nighttime sequences as well. Just the integration, especially the exposure. Where you could feel that, because it seemed like a very stressful setting. That maybe by being a little bit more bold and maybe having just silhouettes of the people or something and the bright lights behind them, catching up with them, even sell more of that stressful situation that they're in, right? Instead of like having everything visible and everything lifted up equally. Like I said, daytime was good. What I really appreciated actually was this flower field. That I saw a shot where they actually just put in one of the flowers as I would think like as a reference probably, which I actually really like, right? Because that already takes a little bit away from like the discussion afterwards of like, oh, how is it supposed to look like? No, we have one here as a reference, which kind of reminded me of a show I was working on where we had to enhance kind of like an encampment with a lot of tents, and they had tons of practical tents, but put them all at the front, and then we had to extend them all the way to the back, where you would have hoped that, okay, place one tent right at the end, so you get the haze level right, or what happens in distance with that look, so that it would be just less of discussion. So I kind of appreciated that little add-on there with the reference.
Cool point, yeah. You, Liz?
I agree with everything you guys were saying, that it's like the way the reel should have been structured is have the night stuff later or have it also much less, because there's just not only the color, but for me what was bumping was just there's no wind on the guy when he's driving. Like there's just shirts not barely moving, and I have a pet peeve of just driving shots and windows and stuff. They almost never look good, even in high budget, feature films. So considering the budget, that was the problem. Yeah, the water was a bump, but all the daylight stuff was really nice. The helicopter integration, like all that stuff was really nice. So
yeah, the next movie is A Hairy Tale or Maskhara Boz.
You didn't work on any of these, right?
Let's watch the reel.
See, you didn't answer. Oh, you might have worked on it.
Too much question.
I was like, there's a reason he's seen this so many times. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's where he used to work. See, I know how's that. I've been there. It's pretty well done for that budget.
Shiny.
Some sampling things in there happening at some point.
Oh, is this supposed to be like
Casablanca.
Yeah,
Sequence.
Casablanca. Thank you. I can remember that.
So it's like a based on like a lot of other movies because he wants to be an actor.
He
mentioned.
imagines
Yeah,
himself.
exactly,
Yeah.
Look at those beautiful shadows colliding with the CG shadows.
Not the biggest fan of that shot.
Oh, Sebastian, it's way before your tutorial on
Yeah.
underwater compositing. And that screen was green actually, and we lit it in blue to be blue.
Why?
Because it was like green. So we wanted to be blue for night shots. That's a dumb thing because we threw a lot of light through it.
A lot of the objects need like scratches, and like you looked at the picture frame, or sort of the mirror frame. It was like everything looks like it's got a new coat of paint on it. Like it's just missing scratches or just a little bit of wear and tear. And it was like the same shot when the car was crashing in. Like the depth of field covered a lot of it, but when you looked at all the objects, like nothing, everything looks like it's got the same like displacement on it.
Yeah.
But this helps you from a storytelling point of view, right? Because you can go, because it's cheesy and is imagining it and it's comedy, you can kind of get away with like not as good as special effects. Like, because it's like, he's not necessarily a good actor, so his imagination is also not the best version of it. So it all kind of works from a storytelling point of view. That's good. I actually thought his back hit the ground.
Could have left off the bird.
Whoa.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the contrast of that fan doesn't work.
Yeah, like I'm wondering like how much the stylized idea, like let's make it more stylized, played into the choices that they made for the VFX, or how much they leaned into this was stylized.
Oh, no spotlight in the scene.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, the cinematography was like truly stylized, and I really liked it. Like it's more of a play than a feature film we know.
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
Yeah, also I was on set for VFX.
no kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was on set for that airplane sequence and underwater sequence, and some other ones. Yeah, but those was the main ones. Yeah, so my brother.
Breakdown.
Yeah, he was managing the render farm. So.
You also happen to own the company?
No.
It's funny because I visited them when I was in Iran, and like he took me there, and it's like you talk about like shoestring budget and what they're able to accomplish. There's all of these racks of computers that are just like open on the side, and there's just a fan blowing in the room at them. And I was like, "This is boss! Like, just grab some ice, like they're overheating." Like it's pretty cool seeing like what they're able to do and how.
So let's talk about Harry Taylor, Maskhar Boss, starting from Behzad.
We were discussing him, like that one gets away with the fact that because it's imaginary and more playful, you accept the visual effects of it to be not like as precise. You're like, oh, okay, he's imagining it, so it's okay. My biggest thing was I like the car crash the most, but the glass in the car was bugging me. Like I could really see it just didn't look like glass. And a lot of the assets when I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, I just needed to have some scratches or something. Everything just looked like it was perfectly painted. There was like the edges of the mirror and stuff like that. But I thought it was good overall. But and plus you worked on it, so we'll like it more.
Just skip that part.
I was going to say not because you worked on it, but I feel like the comp side of it looked very well executed, especially compared to the other examples that we saw. Although it was like multiple different assets and tasks, I feel like while the other projects had a little bit like repetitive tasks to it. So I feel like that was a good point. But then maybe on CG side, maybe there was a little bit of, like you said, the lack of detail, because at that first shot I was looking at it and was wondering, is there something wrong with the integration or what is it? And then after you said like, all the objects seem to be like very polished or like lack of detail, that might have been the thing that broke it for me, because like moving forward was like black levels, the keying, all that kind of stuff, integration work I found was very well executed. Yeah. But I didn't like the stylized stuff too much, I think. Yeah. But I mean that's just
It's not your style. It's not what you
nothing to do with the work itself. Yeah.
Cool. You gave.
It seems like out of all the shows we watched today, like the breakdowns, it's probably the most fun to work on, because like it seems like it handed itself to have more creativity from the VFX as a storytelling point, and maybe the artists came up with ideas on the shots, and I don't know if they leaned on the stylization of the show to maybe like make their lives easier or accomplish some things that were probably harder. There was a couple of shots that I didn't really like so much, like especially the airplane like shot where like there's like this woman walking into the airplane and there's a guy in the foreground. And I feel like they really connected in a way, even though it was like very stylized, because one guy, like the guy was like black and white. Yeah. The background was not. But that wasn't what was breaking for me. That was, there was more in there. Like that was lacking as like a, I don't know if it was a fully compositing problem, was like how they laid out like the shot visually. Yeah. Something was off in there. And yeah, like a lot of the CG was very like, it was lacking the extra final step. But I think as a stylized show, it does work, I like stylized shows, but I think I liked when we stylized shows to be less, I don't know like how to say it, but like, I think I like when they stylize in a way that makes it more unbelievable. But this is a dream sequence. There's like one that is inside the newspaper. The other one, like he's pretending to be a different movie. So I kind of get where it's coming from. Without watching the show, I don't know how that plays off. Yeah. And I don't know if that's like the main meat of the show or if that's just a small sequence that was like the nice VFX. And a lot of it is just like actually actor, like driven. I don't know. But I think it was like cool. It was like nice to watch. It was very different from all the other ones. So that's like a standout as well in that sense. Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah, however, for me, that's not the excuse if that's a fantasy movie, like, like a nightmare shot or something. The VFX should be precise and correct in every aspect.
No, for sure. But like,
so yeah, that's not an excuse in overall, but I know, like, I didn't like those gunshot sequence, like the Matrix sequence. That was like, no way.
They didn't show a lot of that, so I'm guessing there wasn't a lot more to it than just gunfights in that little sequence.
That was a long sequence. Okay. And the cinematography was really nice, like the color and everything was really matched to the actual film. But I know why that happened, because they outsourced it to another freelance artist, right, which was working on After Effects. So we have no control over QCing the shots, Also, he was dealing just with our VFX supervisor, not me or my colleague as a lead compositor. Right. So if I say, that's not correct, he say like, go fuck off. I'm dealing with your manager, not you.
Yeah, like a lot of like when there was a shot where like all the guns were sideways and you see all the muzzle flash, that was like, to me that felt like was not right. Flashes. Like a lot of the muzzle flashes did not, like they didn't have the range that they would get, especially for the exposure. Yeah. And then the way they were overlapping, you could see like all of the muzzle flashes one through the other one. Like it just was, wasn't well done. Like the stylized part I was talking about, for example, like just came to mind. There's a Node movie that I remember, like it's very stylized. I think it's called Hero.
Yeah.
And it's a story that's told 4 times, I believe.
Yeah.
And every time it's told is a different color. It's very color oriented.
Yeah.
So every time the story is told by someone else, it's a different color, and that's very stylized, and that like really makes the story and the stylization like work together. And I like when that happens, right? I don't know without watching the movie if that happens in this movie, right? So it's hard to tell from the breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they were looking at the plane on the landing strip, the Casablanca scene, it looked great. It had a very contrasty look to it. It had all those nice light rims. It fit in very well with that noir aesthetic. And then later on, you see that plane crashed into, I guess, the barbershop when there's like snow all over the place, and they didn't really sit together.
It's all DMP.
It's all DMP?
The plane was just one frame render, but the render sits into like a scene fully DMP. All those snow was like painted. Right. Not actual simulation.
It had a lot of detail on that shot, and that very simplistic plane.
That's why it feels different, you know. I wouldn't say is it bad or good, it just feels different, you know, to a full CG shot or CG render shot.
Yeah. And like it felt very different from the car crash scene that was at the front of the reel, which I thought was fantastic. The treatment of the like the materials wasn't like perfect in all ways, but it showed a lot of creativity in blocking that one. I think that there was like a shot of it coming through, and then a side shot of it proceeding more, and then the shot of it settling. That showed a lot of like sophisticated thought over like the timing and how that was going to feel. I feel like watching that at speed is a very satisfying thing to watch. It's very interesting to see something like that, you know, put next to like, you know, the little vistas out the window of looking. Guy was looking out the window at like kind of like a rocky beach. Yeah, that was just a very simple like, here's an asset. It was very stylized. It was meant to impart some sort of emotion. I couldn't really get it without the context, but very interesting to see a show that's taking 2 wildly different approaches to using visual effects.
Yeah. Also, the fun fact was the following shots of that car crash was practical. Actually, the cars sits into the like a barber shop, and everything was practical in the set. So we have to like backward the simulation to matches with the practical shot when it's like crash into the wall.
Interesting.
I wish they had showed that shot,
the
following shot, just so you can like see the whole progression and how that ties into the story that you had to do that extra step, right?
Yeah. Also, we add a lot of rain, like CG and practical rain in the background and CG rain in the foreground. So but
Awesome.
That's why it is, you know, no excuse.
It's also the oldest of the movies, right? 2019, but it's still it's great.
Okay, so the last one, Pinto or Ablad. Yeah, this one is a bit different also. So Pinto, 2021.
They just added 1 rat, right?
I thought they just showed.
We can rewind.
I thought they're just showing the pairs on this one, right? Or
I think the back ones were real. Because I looked at the back one, I was like, that one looks really good. I can tell the front one's CG.
That's different for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's
a good point.
I was like, because at first I was like, whoa, why is that rat look so good? And then I saw the other one, like, that one doesn't look as good. Like, you can tell from his feet, like the rigging.
And honestly, if all those rats were CG, I would have absolutely showed them all as like a one pass of like, yeah, this is actually CG.
Yeah.
Oh, look at those noise. Just a turntable.
I guess they needed 1 rat to do something specific. So they got a bunch of rats, filmed them, and they just added 1, which do the whatever they need.
It might be more than just that one shot of the rat. So like they probably, like, because they had a rat asset, they just like used like a little bit of like for
but that was really smart. It's like, don't make them all CG. So like make 1 and then your eye kind of like just kind of goes with it. So that was really smart.
Yeah, unless they share food in same shot. The
Yeah.
CG and the practical.
Yeah. It's like Star Wars when it's trying to float the thing into her mouth. These are not bad.
Cropped droplets.
You're just put a noise pattern over top or something.
Track's a little dodgy.
Yeah.
Those are really difficult shots.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
Yeah, like with all those lens flare and like
They're not
what
easy.
happens in the foreground.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand why everybody's so into these bubbles.
I wonder if they actually needed those buildings behind on those close-up shots, because like I don't know if you missed them.
Yeah.
Ooh, behind the
Well,
wires.
That's a very pretty shot.
Yeah. But they didn't put it first, unfortunately.
The buildings look good when it was like shallow depth of field, but I don't know, they didn't really.
Some shots look better.
Yeah, some
one
do.
was-
These ones are better, yeah. I think the high rises I didn't
Yeah.
really like
Yeah.
when it was shallow.
Something's odd with the grading.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the wrong lots on the shot.
Something happening in
Yeah.
the background that just like doesn't look right.
It's like, yeah, it's missing a whole lot of color in the background. A lot of variation in color.
Also like the tracking, there's some, I feel like it doesn't parallax as well the way it should.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those buildings were all flat. They were like, so the camera was moving, but there was no parallax in the image.
Yeah, maybe just single frame renders.
Oh, I thought it was an alien. I was like spaceship.
Ah, that's P&E. Summer.
It's weird, the spinning one works the least for me. The other ones,
Her in the LiDAR scan, that's funny.
Oh, that's just a photogrammetry something, yeah.
They maybe made a mesh out of the photogrammetry, like from the
Yeah, just
camera.
from the shot, yeah.
yeah. They didn't really LiDAR all of it.
Yeah, just to estimate the.
Oh, yeah.
movement, yeah. Actually, yeah, there's no LiDAR scan for films there.
Looks a bit clumpy there, the Ferris wheel.
A lot of haze. Ah.
At least they put some like colored lights in the actual shots to help.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, the shots where it was all clear,
Yeah.
like when you can't see any influence of the environment, like you feel like you should feel something on the trees or the hill.
Yeah,
But
even the atmosphere should
yeah.
have more contamination, most likely.
you know what's actually also bumping? When I'm trying to figure it out when I was looking, I'm like, those play structures, like when you look at them, they're almost all too close to each other. They look stacked on top of each other from a wide shot, where I was trying to figure out what it is. It's like they wouldn't be like that. They would actually be further away from each other, because you could consider it in depth space, but like that's not how those areas are usually set up. Things are a little bit more, because people have to line up, and they also look like they're crashing into each other. Like, I don't know, just the believability is a little off.
And let's put more motion blur to the background.
The night shots obviously work better, easier. Because it's just a bunch of windows, right?
Boy, that's a tough integration right there.
Yeah.
With the cables, yeah.
Yeah, like the buildings at the back with the light, like the sunlight, they don't.
Is in focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
can see stuff in the foreground is out of focus.
That was a easy one to not, like to make it so much better.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the reel.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, now let's hear your comments about this movie, starting from Matt.
Sure. I found myself really liking this one. There was something about their use of the buildings in the background, up the side of the hill, that big amusement park right next to it, that imparted a lot of like, I don't know if I want to say an oppressive feeling to the atmosphere, but the sensation of these people like living in the shadow of something, or living as a small part. You saw this little small community, right? As a part of something much bigger. Some of those shots were just outright beautiful. The buildings, especially when they were backlit and hazy, some of those shots looked absolutely spectacular, and they really sold the idea of like a tiny isolated pocket of life living amongst this vast expanse of other life, which is, I think it's a really cool thing to see visual effects doing. I don't think all the shots were exceptionally successful at doing so. There was some tech issues in a couple of places, some choices that were interesting actually. I remember there was one drone shot from above where I think most of what they added was
just
power lines?
Power line and maybe shadow of the power line.
Yeah. If that's not a very specific story point, I kind of wonder what it's for. Because that frame was already very busy, and they added that, and I was like, okay, if the power lines is not a specifically crucial part of the story, that just felt like excess a little bit. Although I gotta know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You, Gabe?
Yeah, so I think out of the 4, that to me was the one with the breakdowns that had the most visual problems with the presentation. Like you're presenting the most amount of shots with some sort of like discernible problem from someone who is like looking for that, right, on the breakdowns. And it was also the most ambitious to me. It's looked like use of VFX. Not that the VFX was the hardest to execute, but like they leaned the most as a storytelling point, because it seems like most of the shots have some sort of enhancement on the environment to sell that community, like you were saying, that it's surrounded by all these things, like there's amusement park, there's like buildings, and there's extra or like whatever, like chaotic areas that they added, like on the background, like some other like houses and stuff that go up the hill and all that.
And almost no chroma key in the back.
No chroma key in the back.
All just plain backgrounds replaced. Yeah.
They were very I'm gonna say bread and butter VFX. Like it's like very straightforward in a way. Like so the execution, not that it's easy to execute, but the planning execution is simple. You have the people, and you're always adding some enhancement to the background, so there's always an environment extension. And I didn't think they were all as successful as I wanted, especially if that's one of the strong pillars of your storytelling moment of your movie, right? So if you really rely on that, you can't have that be taken out of the viewer, like, oh, I that was kind of weird, I don't buy that, because that breaks a little bit like the story for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the one that I had the most critiques, I think. Okay. It was nice. There was a lot of like nice looking shots, but yeah.
It truly reminds me of District 9. It was like unplanned shooting, like they just, however, it was on a purpose, not thinking about like perfectly like doing the camera works for the VFX, so they just shoot whatever they want and they add in post. So yeah, with all those camera works and no chroma key in the background. So
I guess it's tough. I guess this is the tough part. If you have like one major asset or task and then you're not hitting it 100%, that then it's hard to cover up, right? And then you keep, once you find that the issue, like you keep seeing it because nothing else comes to the table. But it's, I mean, heads off like to the integration, right? Like you said, like no chroma key, and then like all those wires and like tons of
lens flares.
Exactly, like rebuilding, like recreating those lens flares and all that stuff. So it's tough. But then if the essential stuff kind of like breaks, like we saw the tracks, or like maybe some black level issues of especially that one defocus, that shot where the buildings should have been out of focus. Then it's tough because then the illusion breaks quite easily, especially if you're then watching the movie, I imagine, and it cuts and cuts and cuts, and you keep hanging on those things. But yeah, still tough shots. Still, and I kind of like the how do you call it, the ferry, the night market,
the play line.
Yeah. To like combine those, like even if it had like the missing interactive lights maybe or something, but it somehow worked that those two exist in the same world to me. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, those shots are tricky. If you add a lot of glow to just wash the edges, it looks very bloomy. If you keep it dry, it shows a lot of problem. So it's really tricky to comp those night shots. A lot of light integration.
Yeah, there was one shot specifically where they had some on-set colorful lights that was actually the most successful out of those night shots.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Your last comment.
I agree with everything you were saying, that it's like, I felt like it did what it needed to do for probably the film. Like when you're watching it, I don't think a normal person's going to be like, oh, that building doesn't look blurry enough. Like, I think you'll get through, but it was inconsistent because you're seeing the same things over and over again. You're like, oh, that one worked, that one didn't. And I think that's the part where it just breaks the reality. It's better if it's not at the highest level, but it's consistent rather than that shot's great. Ooh, what's wrong with that shot? And then you're just kind of like bumping back and forth between them. But I think also the way it was shot kind of helped oftentimes not pay attention to it because it's like handheldy, you're following the people talking, and you're not really like going to look at buildings in the background. But yeah, I agree with everything you were saying.
Okay, so now the fun part, your votes.
And why? You can start on that side.
So you want to start on this side?
Yeah.
Okay. My vote, Pinto, a block.
Oh, okay.
I thought that, like we said, they were not always the most successful at every piece, every shot, but I felt like of all the projects that we saw today, that one had the most consistent use of the visual effects. They had a clear goal with it, and I felt like it was pretty successful, even in the shots where technically things weren't working perfectly.
Cool. Your vote, Gabe?
So my vote goes to Das Stehe doch daran. That's how I say it. I don't know if that's
Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's the
Yeah.
Buchdaran, yeah.
I have no idea what I wrote here.
You write the Finglish version of it, yeah. Yeah, Squad Up Girls. Awesome, man.
Okay, cool.
So what do you like?
I like that it was the most, in a way, the most subtle use of VFX out of all of them. And it was made in a way to help the story because it seems like it was more like a period piece, like it was there intentionally to help the storytelling. I know they all help the storytelling, but it was there in a way that made sense to me. And even though there were some problems, like I thought it was like some of the shots were like more invisible VFX, which is like sometimes it's hard to pull off.
Yeah.
And yeah, to me just worked better than the other ones. I thought it was interesting use of effects, and it's something that I like those kinds of effects as well. Like I probably, if I was making a movie with a lower budget, I would lean into that a lot to tell a story. And that seems like it's a story as well that, I don't know, it felt like it was a story that maybe it's based on a true story. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, to me, like was cool, like use of VFX in that sense to like help support their story.
Awesome, cool. Yeah. Your vote, Sebastian.
My vote goes to Exodus.
Oh, we have a vast variety of votes here.
Yeah, I forgot the
Horuj.
Horuj.
Horuj. With like a G. Yeah.
Horuj. It's a tough decision, but because I guess like most of the other projects did a lot of like subtle usage of it, environment work, which I also kind of like, but I also appreciated that they were a little bit bold with that movie and really using it for very story important, like in focus parts. Even if they failed a little bit, with the nighttime shots, but it was still bold. I feel like to set this all up and go for it. And then again, I really appreciate that flower they planted as a reference, just because I don't know, like, it just shows that they really thought about the visual effects already on set, And I didn't see it that much, and I'm sure they did with the other projects as well, but just spotting that, gave me a little bit of hope and kind of like nice to see. Yeah.
Can I see your vote again? You write it beautifully.
He did.
Yeah,
he even wrote it better than I did. I was like, did you write it for him? I was like, jeez. Got better handwriting in Farsi than I do.
Yeah, Bezat, your vote. Your vote is very like important now.
It's funny because we would have had all four, but I voted for Daste Dokhtaran as well.
Okay, so we have a winner here.
Yeah. For me, it was to your point. It was consistency. Like none of us really like picked on a specific shot. We were mostly talking about like I think we're looking at raw footage and it's really hard to spot stuff, which could also may have helped it. But yeah, I just felt like nothing was really a set piece. It was all just in the side. It was telling the storytelling. Nothing really bumped. You just kind of watched the shot and you went with it. And consistency for me is always important. That not go, oh, look at that one shot, and then go kind of cringe at the rest. I'm like, yeah, I'm. The filmmaking and the story is the most important. I felt like everything was supporting that. So.
Awesome, cool. So we have a winner here now.
Yeah.
What was your vote?
Oh, he just decides on the fly. Look, he has all of them.
I didn't print that one. I didn't print that one because.
What was your vote?
Okay.
Hairy man.
Hairy
Hairy tail.
My vote. I don't know. I like the vast variety of effects on Mascara Baz, Hairy Man. Yeah, because it's like really hard to work on like all those different effects.
Yeah.
You know, one week you work on some DMP shots, and the next week you work on the like a crash scene, and the week after you work on the bullets. So yeah, we have a winner, which is that's the Dochtara. I choose yours. Yeah, that's the Dochtara, and congrats. Yeah, that was a great film. Yeah,
Approved.
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 Comp approved.
Yeah, and a big win for the compers. Yeah, all 2D shots there.
That's why I didn't like it. I knew something was second.
That seems like a challenging show to work on. Like seriously, like that seems like I think the ones you guys prefer, like they're more bold as a VFX choice, you know. But I think that one seems really hard to work on. Like that one, I feel like because I don't think they pulled it off, like the night sequence, I was like maybe not. And the other one, the stylized, was probably the most fun. Like you're saying, like every week it's challenging, but it's also fun probably to work on.
I think those movies are important just to have around, like the Big Fish movies, stuff like that, where you can have crazy spectacles and awesome stuff, like just so to remind people and filmmakers that you can do crazy things and mishmash.
That's a great point. Yeah, because there's a saying like in some like experienced director, they said in Iran we can't do VFX, so let's turn the story in a way or the cinematography in a way to like get away from VFX. But those are like good examples. All these movies are good examples. Yeah.
That it can be done.
People can do it, just need to plan for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to show people that you can just have stylistic choices that, you know, even if they don't always work perfectly, like you should just go for it. You should just find what it is you want the story to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like they really did on that one. So that was it's good to see creativity in a very complicated movie like that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. Thank you.
See ya. See you again.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.